Welcome back to Stooge Dream for another episode. It's Wife versus Cartoons. Yes, I am your host, the Stooge, and I have watched a lot of cartoons in my time. My wife, not so much. So I'm putting her through either pleasure or pain, depending on the cartoon, and getting her to review them for you. So this episode, we're looking at the first episode of the series, Dino-Riders. It only lasted one season, 14 episodes in 1988. It had some phenomenal toys in the toy line with some great artwork on the boxes and so forth. But that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the show. So let me hand it over to the one and only Knockout Fiona.
Hi, only one season, Stooge.
Only one season. This only lasted 14 episodes. There was a lot of cartoons back in the day that if they didn't catch on straight away, if the toys didn't start selling immediately, the shows just died.
Cutthroat. Yeah, but I can kind of see it with this one. I don't really know where else the story would go.
Well, we'll watch some more later.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But with this in particular, I think this was just a few years too early. The dinosaur craze hadn't hit yet. We hadn't had Jurassic Park. We hadn't had that big... And even just prior to Jurassic Park, there was a dinosaur craze in the early 90s.
There was a book released, I think, was it Dinotopia? And it's beautiful illustrations and it's, famous.
And
book.
It just kicked off this. Yeah, so if this was maybe 4 years later...
If that, yeah.
I think it would have been completely different and this would have been remembered in a much higher regard and so forth because it would have been part of that craze, but it was just too early.
I can see that, yeah. It's got that beautiful, really finely detailed, drawn, late 80s animation style.
It is, because the animation in the late 80s, or actually from the early 80s on, was pretty much comic book artists doing the work. So that's why you can see that really nice hand-drawn, crisp artwork that even on a shitty copy that we watched of the first episode that was clearly a VHS transfer.
Oh wow, it was too.
Still looked really good.
And comic book writers, you said.
Jerry Conway was one of the writers on this show, and if you don't know who Jerry Conway is, you should definitely look up his work. He's done some seminal work for both Marvel and DC in the 80s and 90s.
Oh, nice. Would you want me to give you a breakdown of this episode, Stooge?
We do. Let's talk about the show. What happened? What's it about? Who's in it? What happens?
This was the first episode of the series called The Adventure Begins, aptly named. So we see the good guys, the Valorians, who are from the planet Valor, I think. Yeah, funnily enough, they're good guys.
Yep,
Valoria, sorry. And they are being attacked by the bad guys who are the Rulons, who are like an insect animal hybrid race.
Which is really on the nose, isn't it? So you've got Valorians, you know, the good guys, full of valor, and on the side of right and just. And then you've got the Rulons, who are the bad guys who want to rule everything. Yeah, and they're bad.
They're led by Krulos, who is clearly very cruel and an evil dictator.
It is, and even the head of the Valorians, Questar, it's like he's going to be on a quest for right, and it has some very medieval knight references and
very much so.
So I like that.
It did feel a little bit knightish, I guess. Questar, the leader of the Valorians / good guys, did have a very He-Man haircut.
Yeah, the very Prince Adam bob.
The blonde bob. Yeah, gotta love that. Clearly they just recycled things in the 80s. You gotta love it. So they are escaping in space, so it has a little bit of a space wars feel to it to begin with, and the good guys are on their ship. I'm just going to call them good guys.
Yeah.
And they are getting closed in on by the bad guys, so they have to employ their space-time energy projection mechanism,
drive.
Which is basically STEP. There you go. It's I didn't realize it's an acronym. That's very clever. Which is basically warp or hyperdrive, depending if you're a Star Trek / Star Wars fan.
But in space and time rather than just space.
I thought the idea of the warp drives was it bent time around them as well.
No, it bent space around them.
Jeez, we're getting into quantum realm now. Whoa.
Yeah. Very, very quick science breakdown. Hey kids, here's your science fact for the day. In Star Trek, a warp drive actually bends space around the object. The object isn't moving. Space is
warp,
moving.
Warp in sparse. The Trek is warp.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Wars is
Trek,
hyperdrive.
Yeah, and hyperdrive is the same thing. It bends space around them. They're not actually moving. Space is moving really fast. This bends time and space. Since time and space are intricately linked, learn some physics and some quantum mechanics, and you'll learn that little fact very quickly. This is just taking that to the next level. So not only is it bending space, it's also bending time and warping that around them as well.
Well, because there was...
That ends your science lesson for the day.
This could be a whole nother episode.
But anyway, they use their step drive. They end up going back 65 million years to ancient Earth and dragging the Rulons accidentally through their warp with them.
Exactly. The step drive wasn't quite in proper functioning state. They, the engineer warns that, we can't, but they're so desperate they have to, and lo and behold, they end up with the dinosaurs.
Yeah.
Prehistoric Earth. And they very quickly accept that fact and make it their home. There's no angst of, oh my God, we're never going back. It's like, this is our new home. Which is actually a very optimistic message. Talk about making the most of a bad situation and getting on with it.
The Valorians are like, oh, well, we're here. We'll just get on with it. We'll build some shit. We're good.
And they conveniently have these devices, a psychic link device that sits around their neck that allows them to communicate with each other. And also they use it immediately to communicate with the dinosaurs who come up to them to see what's
going on.
The commotion is.
So they're just like, yeah, we're cool. We'll hang out here. We'll just build some stuff and we'll live our lives here. The Rulons, on the other hand, are like, no, we're going back. We're going to steal their step drive. And we're going back to our time, and we're going to rule there too, I guess.
Yeah. So the quest begins for the Valorians to become, I guess, free settlers, and the Rulons to interrupt their plans and declare war, I guess, to steal their shit. But the Valorians have to stop them because otherwise they'll go back into the future
and cause more crap.
And try and take over the universe. And that would be good. Yeah. So. The Valorians employ the use of dinosaurs through request.
They go the full Aquaman route. They ask. They're just like, hey, can you guys help us out a bit? Like, we're kind of lost. Help us build some shit. And the dinosaur's like, whatever.
So they allow them to ride them and fly them and use them as... so the dinosaurs don't even do their time, clearly. They're like, oh, thank God you came along. We were so bored.
Let's do some shit. What are you doing? Like, what do you need us to do?
Whereas the Rulons also employ the use of the dinosaurs, but through an evil mind control helmet.
Called the Brain Box.
A brain box. And load them up with all sorts of evil weapons and stuff like that.
And this is where you find your Star Wars influence. You're going to find it in most cartoons.
Yeah, that's
from
true,
this era.
actually, yeah.
Laser battles, sci-fi equipment, you saw it early in the piece with the space battle, and now you see the influence carry through here as well with the lasers that don't hurt anyone.
Yeah, I was wondering about that. Start well until the latest episode. But that's a whole nother show.
The stormtroopers learned to shoot all of a sudden.
Oh my God. So the two sides have to battle it out amidst all the dinosaurs, but the Rulons' ultimate objective is to gain control of the Tyrannosaurus Rex after we see it causing havoc, and that's what the Valorians are stopping a building as well, a fort to sort of keep out
of the valley so the other dinosaurs can live in peace.
Is there only one Tyrannosaurus Rex in this whole valley?
In this one, it seems.
Anyway, the rule of these cartoons is don't question too much. I personally found it uncomfortable that both sides, either by good or evil, had used the dinosaurs like that and just were like blatantly taking them over. Like, we're humans, so we're all humanoids, so we're ultimately more superior than you.
But yes and no. Okay, so the Rulons definitely do that with their brain boxes and how they basically just brainwash these animals and use them as slaves. Whereas the Valorians, they ask.
Yeah, but still.
But they're like, hey, can you help us? And the dinosaurs are willingly helping them. So even, like, I get it. But at the same time, it's like, I think it's a nice message of, like, especially for kids of the era, like, they're not forcing anything. They're just asking. Yeah. They're the good guys. You see, they're doing it the right way. And the bad guys are like, no, you're our slaves. It's almost a very American message, isn't it? Like, the wrong thing to do is have slaves. Yeah. The right thing to do is ask. Like, hey, can you help us build this, please?
Yeah, that's true. I guess there are all moral undertones to all these cartoons, really. But at the end of the day, the Valorians are victorious in stopping evil dictator Krulos, in capturing their
Step
drive from their ship. And they manage to de-brainbox the device from the head of the Tyrannosaurus Rex, and so he's all angry and cranky and
chases the bad guys away.
Chases them off,
So one of the little points that you have to make when watching 80s cartoons that not a lot of people get. So you watch them and no one really gets hurt.
No, there was an epic battle between the two sides with many dinosaurs in use, and I was worried about the poor dinosaurs.
Got hurt, and no actual humanoids got hurt because there was a law that they couldn't do that. So you couldn't show actual violence. So other cartoons got around it. Things like G.I. Joe created Destro's troopers, which were robots. So the Joes actually had someone they could kill in season 3.
Oh, wow.
And things like that. Like, they had to find ways to get around it. The Ninja Turtles, they changed the foot soldiers, who in the comics are just people, into robots. So they could break them and stuff. Here, we don't have that luxury. Yet. They may introduce that later. I can't remember, because I've only seen a few episodes of this myself. But we don't have the luxury of having things that they can actually destroy which don't show violence on screen. So no one's ever going to get hurt. Nothing. So you've got to kind of turn that bit of your brain off.
Yeah.
Because if you kind of go into it knowing that there's no stakes, because no one's ever going to get hurt. There's literally no stakes to any of this whatsoever. And even in like Masters of the Universe, guys punch on hand, no one ever gets hurt. And Transformers, no one ever gets hurt because they're sentient beings, so they can't hurt them. Right, so no one ever really gets hurt.
Hence why I think this, the theme of this show would dry up very quickly. So like, oh great, they're battling each other again, and no one's getting anywhere.
No, that's why the writing had to be a lot more interesting, right? So I remember one of the episodes later on down the line. And it could even be the next episode or episode 3, where the Rulons are trying to get control of the Tyrannosaurus Rex again. And that whole episode is about the actual Tyrannosaurus Rex and how powerful it is. And it gets a backstory and stuff. And so it was cool. Quite interesting, like, because I had to get around the fact that they can't hurt anything. So it was them trying to trap it in a valley so they could get the brain box back on it and stuff and this and that.
Oh, according to Wikipedia, which I've just brought up very quickly, it's anachronistic, which I only just learnt means it's put things out of place. So for any dinosaur aficionados out there, they'll note that actually it shows the Cretaceous species like the Tyrannosaurus Rex alongside species from earlier eras, like the Permian genus Dimetrodon. Oh god, I'm still not a dinosaur person. Which existed 200 million years earlier. So there you go.
Yeah, so there's no historical accuracy.
It's fun.
One of the other things that I really loved about this, and because it was by Marvel Productions, who did a lot of stuff back in the day, including Transformers and G.I. Joe, you're going to hear some voices that you know really well, like Peter Cullen, who played Optimus Prime, or Frank Weller, who played Megatron, who also did voices in the G.I. Joe series, who did voices in other, like... Bucky O'Hare and some other stuff as well. So you're going to hear a lot of voices that you know quite well.
Now, that did spark me, Stooge, having said earlier in our season that I didn't watch a lot of cartoons as a kid. One I watched religiously was Inspector Gadget.
Yeah.
And the evil villain of Inspector Gadget was one of these voices. Next time, Gadget, next time.
Which is Frank Weller.
Who
also played Megatron.
There you go.
Yeah, so... you're going to hear voices that you know really well, and that's really cool. Like, I like when that happened, especially with some of these old series. A lot of the attachment comes from those voices.
Yeah.
Because you know them so... Like, I can close my eyes and hear Megatron and Starscream and Optimus Prime and Bumblebee and Ironhide and Duke and, like, the half the G.I. Joe cast and half of the... because I know them so... And the Ninja Turtles, I can hear their voices. So when you hear it, you're like, oh, that's a dude that did this. And then you get that other nostalgia rush as well. And so what did you think of the first episode, though?
Yeah, I liked the late 80s feel of it. Again, though, it's really hard to switch off as an adult and watch these things.
Yeah, some of them.
Yeah.
And admittedly, I think this one holds a more nostalgic place to me for the toy line rather than the cartoons themselves. because the toys had these amazing boxes with spectacular artwork. And the actual toys themselves were really cool looking, and you had dinosaurs with weapons on them and little.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
The figures themselves weren't action figures; they were little minifigures that sat in the dinosaurs and stuff and rode them, and it was just a really cool
That's cute.
toy
Well,
line.
it is Dino-Riders.
Yeah, amazing toy line.
I'm happy that you showed it to me, Stooge, but I'm also equally happy not to watch anymore.
Oh well, there you go. So we have it on the list of meh, okay, not interested, to I want to see more. You're at meh.
Yeah.
Fair
Okay,
call.
it was okay. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for watching. If you've seen Dino Riders or you're our age and hold any nostalgia for this show, comment below. I'd love to know what you thought. If you have any suggestions on shows I can either torture or please knock out with, comment below. And until next time, adventure, excitement, Stooge craves not these things.
Welcome to the Stooge Revolution.